This is episode 5 of the Buddz podcast. We have well-known musicians Jacob Vanknowe and Ray Northwest. And I got my air horn right here.
Cue it up.
So I'm pretty excited for this because I've known you guys for a minute.
Yes, sir.
I know you guys are always on your hustle and grind and stay in practice at what you do.
Guaranteed.
Stoked to have you guys on. It's pretty dope.
Hell yeah, man. We stoked to be here, you know?
Yeah.
So on this podcast, we like to talk about pretty much like people who blaze their own trail in life and the adversity that comes with that, and kind of just like overcoming the judgment of others, and having gratitude for the little things and continue to move forward. So first question I have is, what are 3 things that you guys are grateful for?
Well, pretty much for me, one thing that I'm grateful for is my family, because recently I've been having a lot of things going on with my very close family. My mom's going through some breast cancer issues right now, and my dad recently had to go through some heart surgery. So I mean, more than ever, I'm very thankful for my family. I'm very thankful for my team, like Ray Northwest, my band, and other musicians and stuff like that I'm able to work with. I really cherish that time, and also I've been able to kind of work on some side hustles and get in on some different business endeavors as well, and I'm very thankful for everybody that's been able to kind of do business work, especially you guys, other podcasts and stuff, and different businesses that are able to collaborate with me as well. Those are all things that I am incredibly blessed with, so for sure.
That's dope.
That's what I would say, brother.
Yeah.
That's inspiring. That's inspiring for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah, man, I'll say my family, because, I wouldn't be here without my family, the small family I have, my brothers, my team, and, I want to give it to God, too, so I'm thankful for him just allowing me to do what I do today, allowing me to be here, and then for myself, too, because, in the past I really doubted myself, and, when it comes down to it, you all you got, so you really have to push yourself, believe in yourself, and, yeah, man.
You gotta do it for yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I always
That's
asking
tough.
that question because I think it's it's always really basic things that most people say when it really comes down to if you had to pick 3 things what you're grateful for, and I just kind of like to see that pattern with different people. A lot of people say their family, a lot of people say God, and just basic shit having shoes on their feet, and you said, your passions, the things you like to do.
Not everybody goes into depth with it, really. They kind of
Right.
just a simple answer is what most people get.
Right.
But yeah, that's dope, dude, because that's heavy.
Yeah.
I mean,
You already
fucking
know.
being inspired and by that kind of shit, that's the kind of stuff we want people to kind of see and realize that they can do it themselves too, and it's
Right.
all you really need is your family and your faith and your own belief.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough too.
That's guaranteed.
That's good though.
That's guaranteed.
Fuck with that.
Absolutely.
So it's with that being grateful for those kind of things, what's your guys' main message to your guys' audience?
Go ahead.
I would say pretty much just for me overall with the scope of my music, I try to keep most things positive, though I do acknowledge every aspect of life, but I wanted to overall with my music acknowledge that things will be hard at times in life, but that there's always positive things to find in life and ways that you can always pursue a more positive direction for yourself. So that's always going to be kind of an overall theme of positivity in my music, I think, for myself. So.
Yep.
Now I just gotta say, you want to be just real experimental, man. You want to do stuff that you find, that makes you uncomfortable. So I feel like that's how you succeed. Just go out, never quit. Just doing something that you think, okay, I really can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't let can't be a word, So
Working and
yeah,
learning.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, working on learning.
So being experimental and having a message and something in mind when you guys are putting yourselves out there, obviously speaking your mind, how do you deal with the judgment of others? Sometimes some people might be oh, that's corny, or maybe just not agree with your message or type of music that you make, or how do you deal with that judgment?
That's actually a killer question, because even in recent, I've thought about even talking to other younger musicians about this, because I have some younger pals that are kind of getting into music and stuff, and they try to put out some maybe rougher demos, and stuff like that, and they'll just get dissed on it, even if it's pretty good, just because it's that's just how it is. You want to put something out and whatever. Somebody's always got something negative to say, especially, on the internet or whatever nowadays, where anyone can say anything and not even have to acknowledge it, in a face-to-face way. I've had people go onto my music, and I've been doing music since I was probably 10 or 11, and I'm a 12-year-old, and they're like, this shit is fucking horrible. You're terrible.
Yeah.
And my dad, who has been a musician his whole life, And he was a musician in the East Coast, in Boston, and played areas in New York and stuff where it was, you know, a little more of a tougher scene, you know, maybe playing with certain punk rock bands or whatever, where bands would, in battle of the band situations, like cut other bands' chords, and it was like bands would get in fist fights over money and things like that. He's like, hey, man, you got to just keep it rolling. That's going to happen. Somebody's going to want to always, that's always going to be a consistency. So if you're going to let that stop you from doing what you love most, then you're basically letting that person win and control over you.
Right.
So that's just unacceptable. So for me, I just try to not acknowledge it or feed any power into it. Now, if somebody wants to debate something with me musically, I'm totally open for that, because ideas and whatever. If you're like, hey, man, I think you could have turned the reverb down on that, and that would have made this song a little better. I'd be like, you know what, you're probably right, because I'm not an audio engineer. I just make music because I love it, you know what I mean, so much. It's my deepest passion. So it's like, this is just the only way I can express myself, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's kind of just how I roll with that kind of thing. If anybody wants to hinder my own self-expression, it's like, well, you're not me, so this is how I express myself. Right. You can't, you know, supersede that.
Scoot over a little, Jake.
Okay, like this?
Perfect. Yeah.
Cool, brother.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just add to that, like, you know, first, like, to each his own. Like, not everybody's gonna like the stuff you like. So, like, when you, and I've had it before where someone's like, yeah, man, like, the talent's there, like, your voice is there, the rhythm, that's just, like, not my cup of tea, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so, like, you really got to take constructive criticism sometimes. Like he was saying, someone's like, okay, your voice is too loud, like, maybe the audio needs to be tweaked, maybe this and that. And so, actually, that helps me to be more experimental. Like, I know what I got to work on, I know what I got to do. But at the end of the day, if someone's trying to be negative, they trying to hate, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna let that motivate me, man. You know, I know it's getting to you. I know you're thinking about that. And so, like, you got to really take the time out of your day to be like, oh, this dude's ass, man. Let me go ahead and freaking type something on the internet and give my energy. You know what I'm saying?
And the love is always so much more than the hate.
Oh, it is, man.
Too, just every
the love
time.
shows itself. But don't let the hate, you know, just make you quit. Don't let the hate get to your head. So,
everyone's got an opinion.
No,
whether it's good or bad, you know. And it's like, really doesn't even matter.
If you let it affect your ego too, it's like, that's just hazardous.
Yeah.
To your mental health, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like
this is not hazardous to the mental health, though, so I'm gonna light this up one time.
There you go.
Medicinal. But yeah, I totally agree with, like, both of you, essentially. Like, one, just not, like you said, like, not letting it get to you. Like, you know, you have a vision, you know that your self-expression, you're trying to put it out there, and then you focus on the love. And then you say, let it drive you a little bit, like, turn that negative energy into a positive for yourself, and continue. Don't quit. That's the biggest thing I like to hear from people, is like, just because people are being negative, like, that's all right. Yeah, that's okay. Let them be negative.
Right.
Yeah,
and
maybe they're having a bad day.
Right. And it's just like
most likely.
Right. And it's just like the example of, you know, you're in a car, you're trying to make it to a destination. You might get lost, so you have to take another route.
Yep.
But you're still trying to make it to that destination. So you might have to do different things. You know what I'm saying? You're not always gonna do the same thing and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna push forward with this. So if someone's telling you like, hey man, you might have to change it up on this and that, and it's actually constructive, like, and they know and they have experience, like, especially OGs and stuff like that. Yeah. Listen to that, you know, take a different route, do something different. Yeah, I agree. But keep rolling with it. Don't stop. You know,
there's definitely a difference in, like, just negativity and constructive criticism, and I think it's important to also, like, be open to the constructive criticism, like you guys are saying, because it's not just negativity. So I get.
You gotta be able to distinguish.
Can't confuse the two.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people also care about you, and they're like, hey, I want you to be the absolute best you can be as well. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna put in my input, and you're like, okay, well, you gotta just.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to have, like, an open mind.
And don't take it personal.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, nothing personal.
That's the biggest part, probably.
I guarantee.
Don't take it personal.
So along the way of becoming, like, the musician that you are today, has there ever been any time where, like, people around you, family, friends, close people, or even people further away, that might have tried to, like, sway you away from being musicians and be like, hey man, maybe you should, like, think about, you know, going to school and locking down a trade, and, you know, kind of putting this to the side a little bit more, you know, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Is there any, like, specific examples that you could speak on?
Yeah, I could specifically think of one person. Like, when I was in school, I had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Johnson, and she would ask, like, we were in this class or whatever in between our regular classes, and I don't really know what it was for or anything. It's like an advisory class or whatever they call it.
Yeah, high school shit.
Yeah, I don't even know. But basically they were like, oh, so what does everybody want to do for a career? and okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. They come to me, what do you want to be? I want to be a musician. That's not a career.
Right.
What? I listen to the radio all the time, and like there's commercials with music in it. I watch movies with music in it. I look at all these, because at this time, basically every rock band I've ever seen is like gods. That's all gods to me. And then like he's currently was at the time when we first met, we're in like, well, it was like 5th grade or something.
Way back.
Like he started kind of putting me onto like Tupac and some of the earlier rap. So like to me, as I kind of grew further into like getting into hip hop and rock, like all those people were like gods to me pretty much. Like if I could have met Ozzy Osbourne and Tupac, I'd literally flip out, because those are like, I mean, to even realize those are real people in real life was like next level. And so that's what I wanted to be. And so pretty much just being told like, no, you'll never get to ever have even a chance to ever do that, I was like, okay, well, fuck you, that's what I'm gonna go do. So and pretty much that's what I've done. But and you know, I think realistically, learning a trade is a good thing as well, you know. So like, because I've done construction jobs and stuff like that, so like for kids that are getting out of high school or whatever, it doesn't hurt to do that as well and make some money. But don't let anybody discourage you from
Your
making
dream.
it not
Yeah,
like
your
you can
actual
do
dream.
both. You can totally do both.
Yeah,
there's no reason why you can't be a musician and something else. And I mean, like, look at my boy Ray Northwest. He's gonna be a rapper. He does rock music, and he's going to be doing his MMA fighting, and then he also does his work on the side and all that as well.
Yeah.
And like our buddy Cordell, he works 2 jobs and does his music career.
Shout out Cordell.
So there's no reason not to encourage multiple hustles by any means.
Yeah, of course.
I totally agree with that.
Sure.
So as I was saying, yeah, I just like to touch on that question because, like, obviously you're passionate about something, and you know, some people are passionate about things, but they let that teacher discourage them essentially. And so like, I agree with you. Like a trade could be a great thing. Like working and hustling is a great thing, and for some people that might be blazing their own trail as doing a trade, because some other people might be like, hey man, don't do the trade, man, like do the music thing. And he's like, you know, I'm kind of done with that, I want to do a trade.
And I've noticed
mostly about the concept of just kind of overcoming that and doing what you think is best for you.
Exactly.
And I've noticed, like, kind of like how Jacob was talking about, like, I got told by one of my old OGs, like, it's kind of was like a self-projection, because he was, like, you know, doing some stuff on the side, and he believed, like, oh yeah, this is what's going to help me succeed. You need to do this too. Just because you're doing this with me at the time, like, you need to do this. It's not realistic to do music. You know how many people don't make it because, you know, so it's kind of like that discouragement. And I was young at the time. I'm like 16, 17, 18, so I'm like kind of letting it get to my head a little bit.
Right.
But at the same time, that's what, like, kind of shaped me, kind of cultivated me, like, who I am now. I'm doing so much. Just like Jacob was saying, I'm fighting, I'm doing music, I'm working, and at a time I didn't think I was gonna do nothing. Like, I don't have time for nothing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So yeah, man, you just got to get out there, you know.
Right.
Get up and do it for yourself, like I said earlier. Fuck,
that's facts.
Yep. Action is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Really is. So is there a mantra or like a saying, or maybe even just a process of thoughts that you go to when adversity hits, when something gets tough in life? Something you like to just tell yourself.
That's a killer question.
Or like when you feel like you plateau, like how do you
like maybe writing a song and you're kind of like, "Poof, I'm kind of stuck." Like, is there any like thing you do, like get up and change the mindset,
regain that momentum, kind of maybe?
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, I guess, like, I don't know. I don't want to sound like, I guess, overconfident in the way that I say that I don't really have a hard time with song inspiration.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, like, I guess I haven't ran into a lot of, like, brain blocks. Also, I do music with my dad. So, like, I feel like because, like, we have such a close family connection as well, there's so much, like, shared emotional, like, experience that, like, it's easy for us to kind of bounce our thoughts and ideas and like our emotions and past experience that we've done together or whatever into our music. But like, I guess whenever we kind of struggle writing or anything, we just kind of go back to thoughts or memories that we've had, you know, or growing up or where I was a kid or something, and found like maybe a really profound time that we both had, and then we think about it and then just kind of, you know, make it into a melody or a song or something. And then if he writes a part, I write a part back or something, because we also, you know, alternate on our instruments. I'll play some bass, he plays guitar, I play, you know, drums, and my drummer also does some producing and stuff as well. So no, it's been pretty cool, and I just kind of like to go back to like old thoughts and memories whenever I write my songs, and like think about people that have passed away or people I really cared about that are no longer in my life, and it just seems to really help me find inspiration.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything specific you do?
For me, yeah, I do all sorts of things, man. Like, for me, first, I really surround myself with people who think like-minded. Like, you know, like you were saying, like musicians, that if I'm stuck, I kind of go to them and be like, hey, man, what did you do in this time of need? Like, what, you know, stuff like that, man. As much as I like being around, like, my family and my friends, I like a lot of alone time, like solo time to myself. So I'll go out in nature when no one's around, kind of that free-minded, open-minded, you know, thing going on. And I'll just bring my notepad, my notebook, and that kind of helps me write. Like, I'm away from everyone, everything. You know, I'm settled down, or I'll just ride in the car or something, get away, you know.
I would agree. Solitude kind of helps
Yeah.
me
Just
when I
want to say
write.
solitude's
Yeah.
really nice for
Just
me as well.
getting like your own space.
So, yeah, there you go,
to
solitude.
think.
So, yeah, that's what
for
I was
sure.
saying.
Yeah, you just kind of notice, you're like, damn, man, like, I need to go be alone.
Right, no,
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I just need to
go
collect all
do
my
some,
thoughts.
Do some
I
thinking
need-
myself.
Yeah,
Sit in the
I
dark
just need
room.
to breathe, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Get out in
Right.
nature. Go for a walk.
For sure.
What's your guys' biggest inspiration to do what you guys are doing?
Oh man, would we say, like, just in general, or like artist wise, like who inspired us, like?
Yeah, I guess both.
Okay.
Yeah, you can touch on both if you want.
Oh man, so for artist wise, I would say a couple artists. Like, first I want to say Wiz Khalifa,
Yeah.
because he's one of those people that inspired me to, like, hey, you can do multiple things and be successful with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's training kickboxing, I think he's doing, and stuff like that. And he's doing music, obviously.
Movies.
And he has, movies, acting
Commercials
parts,
and
yeah,
shit.
commercials. He has, like, games and stuff. And he's just always keeping it pushing. And, like I was saying earlier, I'm an artist that likes to make a lot of, like, motivational, like, high-spirited, get up and go get it type of music.
Yep.
Like, a lot of music that makes you feel good. You can put a joint, you know, smoke
Sure.
a joint, I mean, and, yeah, so that's what Wiz Khalifa reminds me of. He's really just a successful person, you know. And, yeah, so that's for artist-wise. Inspiration, just in general. I would probably say, you know, looking at my family, like, because I have a little family nowadays, and so being, like, I used to have a big family, and just kind of seeing them all deteriorate from different stuff, like, seeing so much talent and, like, potential, like, and I don't just want to put anybody on blast, but I mean, it's the truth, you know, seeing talent and potential kind of just gone and wasted,
Yeah.
and, like, not making a name for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to, like, be that one that really breaks through that barrier and says, hey, man, like, you can really make a name for yourself if you push yourself. Like, yeah, certain things might get in the way, try and block you, but you got to push past that, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Trying to lead by
Like-
example.
right, so that gives me inspiration, man, because,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just deep to me, you know?
Yeah, I believe in you.
Yeah.
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 You can do it.
You do it.
I totally relate to that,
Yeah.
honestly. So
I
I'm
think
glad.
we all do. That's the main message kind of here. We want everybody to share their perspective and
Yeah.
kind of let people know, like, you know, we're trying to be vulnerable, and like that's
Mhm.
pretty vulnerable, and
Yeah.
we
Right.
want people to understand that it's cool to be vulnerable.
Yeah, of
Absolutely.
And let
course.
that shit motivate you.
Yeah, of course.
Because-
It helps you grow,
yeah,
man.
That's dope that you guys share that perspective, because
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to get on here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, my dog?
Could you rephrase that again for me?
So like, what's your biggest inspiration, like artist wise, and then just in general inspiration?
For sure. Yeah, no. So I guess I'd have to say pretty much artist wise, my biggest inspirations would be like Ozzy Osbourne and probably I'd have to say probably Tupac
Mhm.
for sure, because like and then for me, like listening to like Cypress Hill and bands like that, and then like seeing them perform with like a live band, that was a whole other experience from like listening to the track for me, because that made it like real music, like
Mhm.
live real music. So I was like, okay, like that kind of gave me another appreciation for hip hop as well. And yeah, just the way that Ozzy Osbourne goes fucking crazy on stage, I was like, that's
Yeah.
what performing is.
Yeah.
Right. That's a
Okay.
show. That's putting on
You
a
know,
show for real.
so I was like, okay. And then my
Yeah.
dad, I would say, is my biggest influence, because when I was a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, he was in a band. And then one of my earliest memories is he played like one of the big stages at Pig Out. festival.
Mm-hmm.
And as a little kid, that was literally the coolest shit ever
Yeah, that's
to
pretty
me.
cool.
So I was like,
It's
hell
cool
yeah.
as an adult, honestly.
It is.
Oh,
I
God,
can see as a
yeah.
little
It's
kid
an
being like,
honor.
yeah,
But yeah,
what's
no,
up?
so it was awesome, bro.
Man,
I was-
speaking of that, we were about to be on the pig out from this year, but they canceled it.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
opening
bro.
for Cordell
Yeah.
That's
Damn.
crazy.
and Django.
Yep.
That'd be
Yep.
tight.
And Neves
So-
was on that too. I
I've never
think.
even been to Pig Out. That's
I
fucking,
know.
I was planning on going to. That's fucking
And we
nice.
did it a few years too with this band. Like I was able to, you
Yep.
know, have the great opportunity of doing a few songs with them at Pig Out. But like this was like a hip hop set.
Yeah.
Like so, I was about to do some of my songs. He was about to do like one of
Yep.
his.
That's
Yeah, I was
tight.
gonna get.
And so
I
it
was
just
gonna
got
get
canceled.
live.
You know, there's always
Yeah.
next year or something.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah,
just like, damn,
fuck.
man.
Yeah, we're gonna link with Cordell on a
Mhm.
show eventually for sure. We've tried twice, but you know,
Yeah, busy,
COVID.
busy bodies,
COVID
man.
shit, you know.
Different schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a question I didn't have written down, but just kind of leading into this, how do you guys deal with like loss or failure?
Mm.
Like, how do you overcome that?
Man, that's hard. That's a hard.
Because kind of
one.
like what just happened, like kind of like what you said, like the COVID happened, unexpected, didn't
Yeah.
get to do the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you say to yourself?
I would say honestly, like realistically, I leaned on my homie hard.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
You know, I just was like, because I mean, with everything kind of that I had going on in my personal life and stuff like that, and then you know, because a lot of that, when I'm going through something and struggling, the way I would deal with it is being like, okay, I'm gonna tour harder, I'm gonna do more shows, I'm gonna do more. So I would kind of just bury myself further into that because that was my like escape, you know, where I could just be like, okay, this is my world, you know. And not having that, I was like, okay, well, I have to find other things that kind of nourish me, like my spirit or whatever, in that way,
Right.
you know. And that kind of just showed me how I needed to add more aspects to my own life, I guess. So I would say, yeah, I'm spending more time with other people as well, because it's easy when you're kind of like, oh no, you need to be quarantined, staying away, to just like, okay, I'm just gonna get really reclusive, you know, especially for some of the people out there that might deal with depression and things like that, you know.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, really just interacting with the people you care about is just super important, especially for me, you know, so I don't get into like that kind of a funk, you know.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, I would basically say the same. I mean, not to kind of go back on the same thing, but I mean, I'll just try and do something different, man. Like if someone's like, you know, if I deal with the loss in my life, whether it's a person or like a big hit, like from a show or from something, I just try and do something different. And so, just like fighting, picking up training for me, like I just did that in the summer. So I just, you know, I just get influenced by different things.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel down. Like nowadays, I don't really let like stuff get to me a lot. It takes a lot to get to me, but I mean, I'll feel down a little bit at the moment. And I'll kind of sit there, but I'll be like, okay, I can't grieve. I can't just sit here and be alone. Like, I'll reach out to a homie.
Yep.
I'll do different things. I'll get out. Maybe I'll travel, you know, try and
Don't
really get
mobile.
some.
Don't
Yeah,
let
yeah.
it immobilize you.
Exactly. And I'll kind of just be influenced by something, whether it's someone or something out there, something I'm doing, you know, so.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
For kind of made you find the things that lifted you, basically. Made you
Yeah,
find
on
them.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's big.
So, as musicians who have pretty cool skills, knowing how to play the guitar, knowing how to rap, which is difficult to some people in the world. Like, I know there's a lot, I just see, like, in general on the internet, people being like, man, I wish I could do this. Or even friends
Yeah.
being like, I wish I could play guitar. I wish I could play saxophone.
Right.
What would you tell to somebody who is trying to learn a new skill, or they want to learn a new skill, but they're having a hard time starting?
Pretty much just, I mean, I guess take baby steps, man. I mean, when I learned, I was like, when I first started learning like the guitar and bass, I was like 9 years old. And I started learning the guitar. I kind of was struggling with it, with doing chords, probably just because I'm, you know, small hands at that point or whatever. I don't know. But then I kind of learned, at least from playing guitar, hey, I kind of like how these notes sound. I know how a couple of them should sound and go together. So then my dad was like, well, hey, maybe you could try and learn in the bass. Then I learned the bass and got good at the bass. So I was playing the bass really well. So maybe if, like, you know, okay, one thing isn't working, maybe you're not, okay, maybe I want to try to learn this. Maybe you can try to learn something else that's a little more simpler, or that you could take to a little more and kind of just get your foot in, you know, to learning anything. Like, I tell some of my homies that are kind of like, oh, I'm a rapper, but I want to learn how to sing. Okay, just kind of start messing with little notes here and there. Like, make just one note. Learn how to make one note.
Yep.
And then if you can make that note consistently, now you know how to make a note. So make another note, you know what I mean? Like just, and then watch videos on YouTube, because there's so much knowledge just available. I mean, I've learned a lot of the stuff that I learned about soloing on a guitar. I learned off of YouTube videos, because I didn't have any ability to learn that in classes really or anything. So, I mean, I understand some people can't pay for teachers, because I'm self-taught entirely. Me and my dad taught ourselves basically instruments.
That's what's up.
So, I mean, I definitely can understand not, starting from a very basic level. If you can get your hands on any cheap music books that can kind of run you through chord progressions or show you how to learn tablature or anything like that, that's all really valuable. And also, when I was in school, I'm very thankful that I was able to do orchestra and things like that, and choir classes going into, pretty much most of my life growing up. So that's really important as well. Like if you know that you have a child that's really interested in music, getting them in those classes in their schools, because that was one of the most valuable things where I was able to get actual music knowledge, not just kind of what I could teach myself.
Yep.
As well. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say mind over matter too. Like if you're struggling with something, if you're trying to learn about something, like for me, I was really telling myself, oh man, I don't know if I can write like a rap song to a rock song. Like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so I had to observe. I had to come and I had to watch their practices over and over and over. And I had to sit there and really just let it soak in. And to me, it kind of just came like secondhand nature. I was like, oh, this is actually easier than I thought. Like, I kind of just got into the flow of it. So, if you want to learn about something, if you want to, if you feel like you can't do it and you're kind of stuck, just try and go out and observe. Just try and, basically like he was saying, like you gotta do different things to take baby steps. Like it's one day at a time. Like start slow. Don't be afraid of failure.
Well,
you gotta get used to failure too to learn. So
you also didn't even think you could sing.
Yeah.
Like you didn't.
Right.
When he first started rapping, he's like, "Oh, I don't think I can sing."
Right.
And then we would be singing something together, and I'm like, "You realize that's singing, right? You're singing."
Yeah, and I
He's
knew
like,
repetition.
"Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay."
And that's
and
what I'm saying about
then
being
you're singing.
uncomfortable. Like, because I just started off strictly rapping. I mean, you know how it was back in
Yeah.
the day with the pen and stuff like that, and
Right.
shows. And I would be in the studio with a whole bunch of dudes, and we'd just be smoking and chopping it up and
Spitting
just
bars.
strictly just spitting bars.
Yeah.
So I would feel like I would want to sing, but it's that uncomfortable. Like I felt uncomfortable, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't do this. Like it was doubt.
A fear of
And
judgment
so-
too, kind of.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
what inspired me is I started going to his shows and see how he was singing. And me and him are brothers, so we would talk. We talk about everything. So
Right.
he would tell me what he would do when he would feel stuck, and I would start to do that. And I would just observe, man. I would go to these shows. I would watch. I would sit there, just soak it all in. And one day I was like, okay, I'm mad uncomfortable to sing in the studio. Excuse me, goddamn. I'm not uncomfortable to sing in the studio, but my first song I started singing, Hell Yeah. I went there by myself, and I just really let it soak in, man. I just did it, and then Moses was like, yo, what was that? Because I was like, I did a part where I rapped it, and then I sung it, the hook. And so he's like, no, actually sing that. He's like, sing that again. We're going to layer it. So he doubled it up, and he's like, let's keep that, man. He's like, you got a good voice. I was like, no, man, I don't think I can sing. It's like, and so I started doing it over and over, and
Fire.
I got more comfortable with it,
Yep. I feel
It's
that.
like I failed a little bit at first, but I learned from the failure, and I just,
Yeah.
reached success.
That leads me into the next question. Actually, how much does practice and consistency play a role in advancing in your passions?
All the time.
Yeah, majorly.
All
I
the
would
time.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, well, and I would say especially, I mean, it definitely for MCs as well, but from a band perspective, if you're not practicing, it's so noticeable. Like with each instrument, you can tell if it's not tight and because with a band also, it's not just you with yourself, it's everybody with the band that also has to be playing tight and connected with each other. So, yeah, no, if you're not practicing and constantly, you're gonna find that's a lot more sloppy for sure.
Yeah. Same,
you
man.
you have
Same.
to.
It's just like riding a bike, you get on that bike, you don't know how to ride it, you eating shit multiple times. But if you practice, if you go out every day and just do it, you're going to get better and better. So it's like you got to do it with anything. Practice is literally important. It's key.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, I just like asking those questions because it's like I feel like that could be applied to anything. I feel like with sales, with podcasting,
Anything,
our
yeah.
first 2-3 podcasts felt super awkward, and now
Right.
we're like in full stride.
There you
so
go.
it's like just repping it out, like you said, trying to win the day.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Do it again tomorrow.
But
Yes,
like I
sir.
said again, you know, it's like that mind over matter thing. Like, you can really train your mind to do a lot of things
Yep.
that you didn't think you're capable of. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir.
if the more you do something, the more you get better at
Yeah,
it.
and I was actually just in a conversation with my dad yesterday talking about the more you do something, the easier it gets, and that goes for both ways. Like if you skip the gym, you skip your workout, it's easier to skip tomorrow. So it's
Yeah,
like it goes
exactly.
both ways.
Yeah.
So it's like habits.
Yeah,
It's like if you go to the gym, much
Straight
easier
up.
to go the next day. So
straight up,
Very
That's
true,
all
bro.
right.
you gotta be aware with what you're up to
Oh,
and
God.
stay consistent on that. But
all the time.
that's all the questions I have.
Cool, man.
You-
So
So-
one last thing. Well, it's like one thing you guys eat, I guess each. What you guys would tell somebody who wants to, feel inspired, maybe to chase their passion and their dream, maybe.
Pretty much, if you want to chase your dreams, man, just, don't let anybody stop you. Really, just, take a logical look at what you got to do, and every day take a step and just realize, okay, this is where I got to go. This is where I want to be. And look at what you have to do to make that happen in real life, man. And if you go for it, just go for it all the way. And never let a hater tell you not to do it, Just keep
Straight
going.
up. Straight
Fuck
up.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and just don't doubt yourself, man. Like, like I was saying earlier, you're all you got, so you got to believe in yourself. You got to do different things. You got to learn from failure. You got to take baby steps. You're going to fall first, but you got to keep doing it.
yes, sir.
So
Fuck
that's
yeah.
all I got, man.
Hell yeah. And then what Instagram can we find you guys at? Where can we find your music?
You can find me at Jacob Vanknowe Music, Vanknowe Vanknowe Music,
Mhm.
on all the social media whatnots.
Yes, sir. IG Ray Northwest 98, but anything else is just Ray Northwest.
Fuck
Exactly
yeah.
how it sounds all together.
Shit, we'll put it in the video for you guys.
Don't forget
sir.
don't forget to like and subscribe to the Buddz podcast. Let us
You
know
know
what
that.
you think, whether you do or don't like it. If you got any questions,
You better
we'd
like
love
it.
to,
Yeah.
we'd love to answer them for you.
Stay high, stay motivated, stay happy. Thanks for watching, and fucking have a good one.
Stay blessed, man.
Let's go.